Go ahead and text your granny.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
My God. Yeah.
I wonder where in the world that little bitty pick came from. That little bitty pick.
What about it?
We got a little out of there.
Mm-hmm. It's tiny. I found that.
Yeah.
I believe.
Want that what?
I found that in something, I believe.
It's over a little land. I can't even see what it says.
Hey, Alice.
Something USA. I need to get a little more. You doing all right this evening? It's 87 here. They buried her this morning. Well, you'd think people start getting notifications by now.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn. Hey, Beck.
Hey, everyone.
Daniel Martel says the evening began like any other. Daniel Martel says the evening began like any other. He had just come home from a shift at the logging yard, about 35 minutes outside New Minas, where he'd been working under contract for a private forestry operation. He says he clocked out at 5:42 p.m. on May 1st, 2025, and drove straight home. An older bungalow just off Route 358, nestled behind a wall of dense spruce. According to him, his wife, Emily, was still at work.
Why would he call his wife that? Said his wife was still at work at Valley Regional Hospital. Her name is Malaya. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Spain.
At the Valley Regional Hospital.
Well, it's getting down to the nitty gritty, dadgummit. Tomorrow's Thursday. Whew. Lord have mercy. And on top of that, going to be 50% chance of thunderstorms all day long. I guess when it rains, it pours, don't it? But I can't figure out how come him to call her that name for. And I ain't never heard that she worked at no hospital.
where she pulls late shifts as a nurse. That night, she wouldn't get home until nearly 2:30 a.m. The kids, he said, were already in their pajamas by the time he walked in the door. Jack had built a fort in the living room with couch cushions and a Scooby-Doo blanket. Lily was painting with watercolors in the kitchen, something she was prone to do when she got quiet. Art mode, Daniel called it. He says dinner was macaroni and cheese.
7 on 3 likes. Come on, guys. Hit the like button. Gotta get MRI on your back tomorrow. Everybody throw out a prayer for Beck that everything works out smooth for her. Bless you, love. Yes. Yeah. When it says 50% around here, you can count about 150. Because that's what it's going to do. Can't catch a break. It's been raining off and on every day. You're welcome, love.
And he swears the kids were asleep.
Get 3 times points.
Stupid commercial.
Them a story. The Gruffalo, one of their favorites, and then tucked them into their shared bedroom. Their bunk bed was against the west-facing wall. Lily slept on the top, Jack on the bottom. The hallway light was left on like always, and the sliding door in the living room was definitely locked, he told RCMP.
Why was none of this said in the beginning?
They can eat it true.
Now, I know I'm old-fashioned and I'm probably ignorant in a lot of ways. But if I am wrong on this, y'all correct me, okay? If you go through college, studying to be a nurse, become a nurse, is that to help people? Or is that to hurt your kids? A way that you know that could hurt someone, even take a life, without physical evidence looking like a certain thing. Is that something that you think could happen? Because all my life, I've always thought nurses and doctors was out to help people, not to educate them to maybe could hurt someone in a way that other people wouldn't understand. Bless you, love. Yeah, but it's never even been spoke of that she worked at the hospital, and yeah, of course they are. Truck drivers, everything. They do that junk to stay up. All that rigmarole. But what we did find out today, John found that 3-year-old. Good deal. Even the candy strippers. Yeah, they're supposed to help people, not hurt them. What we did find out today is that the baby was the sole custody of that baby was Malaya's mama. Now here it is, she's yanked up the baby and ran off. Even though that she's the blood mother, she taking the baby and run off with it, she would still get charged for kidnap. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Parents think they ain't gonna get in trouble because it's their child. Well, it's still considered kidnap. Yeah, I mean, if he's just pulling one day a week at a sawmill, and they say that ain't even so, uh, even the sawmill that he claimed that he worked at said that wasn't right. Neither he didn't do it because insurance reasons. You can't just work one day a week and be on insurance. That won't work. So that lie was out. But shaking and baking or whatnot, you can make some money on the sides. That's the thing, though. She didn't show up, I guess, at work. She did this either yesterday or last night, one, and left from her mom's with the baby. But what we found out was the Malaya's mother is the sole custody of the children. I mean, it could be. It could be. Uh, we don't know. But after we listen to this right here, that's why I'm going to call out to Jack and Lily myself and find out some things. Yeah. Yeah, they all lied, and I bet if someone checked on their pages, I bet they got GoFundMe pages where they can get money for all this. Well, flip on that. What, to buy more dope? I don't think so. What happened? Now I'm down to 4 and 5 likes. It's about ignorant, ain't it?
Claims he even double checked it before he went to bed. He says he watched Netflix on the couch until around 10:40. A show called Rust Valley Restorers. His phone records confirm some usage. Instagram, Reddit, a couple of texts to Emily around 9:15 about her shift.
Emily. Why call her Emily when her name is Malaya?
Maybe it's never.
Yeah, she'd be held responsible too. Yeah, for neglect. And then Malaya, yeah, and then Malaya would get charged for, uh, yeah, for um, kidnap. Sure would.
At 11:04, he says he
Very
turned off the
odd.
TV and locked up. He walked past the kids' room, saw both of them asleep, heard Jack snoring. The family's Australian Shepherd Buddy was lying at the foot of the hallway, near the kitchen, exactly where Daniel said he always is at night. And then, Daniel...
It's breaking 10 minute something other cuts off right there. I have no idea. Um, some kind of twisted something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, ain't that the truth? No, she should have never had children in the first place. Yeah.
Went to bed. He told RCMP that when he woke up at 6:37 the next morning, something felt off. The air, he said, was too still. He noticed the back sliding door was open 3 inches. Just cracked, he told Constable Keegan Maher during the first statement. The screen door was still closed. Buddy was gone. And
Oh, wait a minute. It was open about 3 inches, but then it was closed. Again, people don't need to listen to what somebody says. They need to listen to how it's being said. That's where your facts comes in. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So were the kids. He said he called out first. Just their names. When he got no answer, he searched the house. Nothing. The bedrooms, the yard.
Because a lot of people don't want to go down by themselves. If someone does a terrible act, 9 times out of 10, and it's been proven that they won't keep it to themselves. They'll tell the person that they're closest with, because they just cannot keep it hidden. And they think if they tell a friend or a cousin or a brother or something, they're not going to rat on them and whatnot. But all of them's phone's been bugged. So the authorities are hearing everything that they're saying. But yet the cousin, I believe, knows exactly where the children are as well. I believe his older brother, knows where they're at. Now, yes, Beck, yes. Now changing it all up, using new names, whole 9 yards, telling that. Already started off talking on Malaya, and then calling her that. Knowing good and daggum well that, when they get caught, prison bound, they going. You watch see. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, Beck.
The garage, the neighbor's backyard, barefoot in the dew.
That gum commercial. Get off my phone.
The neighbor's backyard, barefoot in the dew-soaked grass. Then he called 911. That timestamp is 6:54 a.m., May 2nd. The operator's log recorded his voice as frantic but clear. Emily returned home mid-call.
Now, wait a minute. Who called? He or she?
The dispatcher kept her on the line until patrol arrived. RCMP responded within 15 minutes. The house was sealed. A BOLO was issued for both children before 8 a.m. And by 9 a.m., the first search teams were canvassing the woods behind the property. They brought in scent dogs. They brought in drones. And before noon, the news had hit every station in Nova Scotia. 2 children vanished overnight. In those early hours, the camera crews stayed behind the caution tape. Neighbors gave shaky interviews in hoodies and pajamas. One woman, eyes bloodshot, told a local station, "This stuff doesn't happen here. Not here, not to them." By nightfall, photos of Lily and Jack were on every screen, every lamppost. Emily's sister set up a Facebook page. The kids' faces went viral. But while the official RCMP press conference focused on the terrain, the weather, the early hours of the search, people had already begun to ask the other question, the one that was hanging in the air like fog off the Bay of Fundy. Where was Daniel when it happened? He had no alibi. Not one beyond his own account. Emily had been at work. The house had no internal cameras. No neighbors reported seeing anything unusual.
Emily.
And the sliding door, just slightly ajar, became its own kind of symbol. Daniel said it was locked, said he double-checked it, but something had opened it. Something had moved in the night, or someone. His interviews with police were calm at first, measured. RCMP said publicly that Daniel had been cooperative, that he was fully engaged in helping with the investigation. But people saw something else in his eyes when he stood in front of the cameras on May 3rd, flanked by RCMP, voice cracking as he begged anyone to come forward. "If you know where Lily and Jack are," he said, "please, just bring them home."
It's okay.
Some viewers cried. Others weren't convinced. They shared the clip on social media, dissecting his every breath. "Where are the tears?" One post read. "Watch his body language, he's performing." In less than 48 hours, the narrative had split in two. One side praying for a heartbroken stepfather, the other convinced he was hiding something. And from the moment those kids vanished, the question took root and refused to let go. What really happened?
They need to use a better choice of words, because they did not vanish.
In that house, in the hours no one could see. What did Daniel Martell do or not do the night Lily and Jack disappeared? The official search expanded to over 30 square kilometers. Waterways, abandoned barns, wildlife cameras. But nothing, no clothes, no toys, no trail. Just silence. And in the middle of it, always at the edge of the crowd, stood Daniel.
Until they started doing, some real good searches. Then they would find pieces of this, pieces of that, a doll here, her boot print there. And now he's messed around, screwed up, and got his own boot print in the mud. Now they got that. And then a piece of her blanket and one of her dolls has got one of her dresses on it. Yeah, this is sick. This is sick, I'm telling you.
Hands in his jacket pockets, talking when asked, but never leading, never pushing, just waiting. That first weekend, Emily stayed at her sister's. Daniel stayed at the house, alone. RCMP had not named him as a suspect, but that didn't stop the rumors. Something had happened in the silence between rooms, people said. Something Daniel wasn't saying. Something the open...
Do I need to pull my paperwork back out? She plainly said he came in my room. Hey, D.
Hey, D.
She plainly said that he came in my room. I asked, did that ever happen more than once? And she said yes. I said, did he shake you or try to wake you up that way? She says no.
Door didn't explain. By the morning of May 4th, just 48 hours after Lily and Jack Sullivan were reported missing, Daniel Martell walked into the Kings District RCMP detachment voluntarily. No lawyer, no escort, no pretext. He asked to speak with the lead investigator. According to internal RCMP logs later referenced at a media briefing, he said, "I want to help. I've got nothing to hide." What followed would become one of the most scrutinized police interactions in Nova Scotia in over a decade. Daniel submitted, willingly, to a polygraph examination that afternoon, conducted by a federal agent trained in statement analysis and psychophysiological detection. The session lasted almost 3 hours. RCMP did not release the results. They never do. But Daniel's lawyer, retained only after the fact, later claimed he was told the results were inconclusive.
Now, you tell me, we listened to some of this, or not this one, but another one earlier. Hey, Reese. Now, y'all know for a dadgum fact that the first thing that was said is that he was notified automatically, ASAP, that he passed that test. Y'all heard him say it as well as I did. Okay. So there's about number 4, number 5 lie. So listen to that again real quick.
Hours no one could see. What did Daniel Martell do or not do the night Lily and Jack disappeared? The official search expanded to over 30 square kilometers. It went viral. But while the official locked, he told RCMP. He claims he even double-checked it before. Locked. Frantic but clear. Emily returned mid-call. The dispatcher kept her on the line until patrol arrived. RCMP responded within 15 minutes. The house was sealed. A bolo was issued for both children before 8 a.m. And by 9 a.m., the first search teams were canvassing the woods behind the property. They brought in scent dogs. They brought in drones. And before noon, the news had hit every station in Nova Scotia. 2 children vanished overnight. In those early hours, the camera crews stayed behind the caution tape. Neighbors gave shaky interviews in hoodies and pajamas. One woman, eyes bloodshot, told a local station, "This stuff doesn't happen here. Not here, not to them." By nightfall, photos of Lily and Jack were on every screen, every lamppost. Emily's sister set up a Facebook page. The kids' faces went viral. But while the official RCMP press conference focused on the terrain, the weather, The early hours of the search, people had already begun to ask the other question, the one that was hanging in the air like fog off the Bay of Fundy. Where was Daniel when it happened? He had no alibi. Not one beyond his own account. Emily had been at work. The house had no internal cameras. No neighbors reported seeing anything unusual. And the sliding door, just slightly ajar, became its own kind of symbol. Daniel said it was locked, said he double-checked it, but something had opened it. Something had moved in the night, or someone. His interviews were...
Something had to open it. Only way to open a sliding glass door from the outside would be to break the hinge. And that would be louder than a gunshot. And more than likely, it would bust the glass out first before the hinge gave in. But listen to what he says about how soon he got his results for his polygraph. Yeah, they did. Yeah, people been sending to them, and they just keep on buying junk. Yeah.
Police were calm at first, measured. RCMP said publicly that Daniel had been cooperative, that he was fully engaged in helping with the investigation. But people saw something else in his eyes when he stood in front of the cameras on May 3rd, flanked by RCMP, voice cracking as he begged anyone to come forward. If you know where Lily and Jack are, he said, please, just bring them home. Some viewers cried. Others weren't convinced. They shared the clip on social media, dissecting his every blank, every breath. Where are the tears? One post read, watch his body language, he's performing. In less than 48 hours, the narrative had split in two. One side praying for a heartbroken stepfather, the other convinced he was hiding something. And from the moment those kids vanished, the question took root and refused to let go. What really happened in that house, in the hours no one could see? What did Daniel Martel do, or not do, the night Lily and Jack disappeared? The official search expanded to over 30 square kilometers. Waterways,
They will not tell you the results of your polygraph until they talk to their superior. Period. And claimingly, 50 some odd people took a polygraph. Now, whether that's so or not, I don't know. But I do know for a fact that nothing is released after they do a polygraph. They'll tell you they can't disclose anything at this moment. They have to talk to their superior and see if it's okay to release the results. Usually 12 to 24 hours, something like that. I have seen it go 48 hours. He did not get results ASAP. That dog won't hunt. No, nobody gets results that quick. They're not allowed to. They've got to go over everything with their superiors and how he acted on this question, how he done on that question, what did he say, did he cross his words? They have to talk all that through. They watch your body language, your heart rate, the whole 9 yards. There's nothing given ASAP after taking a polygraph.
And in barns, wildlife cameras, but nothing, no clothes, no toys, no trail, just silence. And in the middle of it, always at the edge of the crowd, stood Daniel, pale, hands in his jacket pockets, talking when asked, but never leading, never pushing, just waiting. That first weekend, Emily stayed at her sister's. Daniel stayed at the house, alone. RCMP had not named him as a suspect, but that didn't stop the rumors. Something had happened in the silence between rooms, people said. Something Daniel wasn't saying. Something the open door didn't explain. By the morning of May 4th, just 48 hours after Lily and Jack Sullivan were reported missing, Daniel Martel walked into the Kings District RCMP detachment voluntarily. No lawyer, no escort, no pretext.
It's coming up now.
He asked to speak with the lead investigator.
What if I told you the cloud isn't a mystical place?
How
in the
about you
sky,
told me you're going to
rather
get off my cellular device?
Asked to speak with the lead investigator. According to internal RCMP logs later referenced at a media briefing, he said, "I want to help. I've got nothing to hide." What followed would become one of the most scrutinized police interactions in Nova Scotia in over a decade. Daniel submitted, willingly, to a polygraph examination that afternoon, conducted by a federal agent trained in statement analysis and psychophysiological detection. The session lasted almost 3 hours. RCMP did not release the results. They never do. But Daniel's lawyer, retained only after the fact, later claimed he was told the results were inconclusive. Inconclusive. A word that says almost nothing and everything. It means they couldn't confirm he was lying, but they couldn't confirm he was telling the truth either. And in the vacuum of that ambiguity, the public mind filled with dread. What Daniel did permit is more telling. He surrendered his phone, unlocked. No resistance. He handed over both a personal iPhone 13 and an old tablet used, he said, mostly for the kids' shows. The RCMP's digital forensics unit cloned both devices within 12 hours. There was no court order. He didn't ask for one. He also agreed to a full panel drug test. Hair, saliva, urine, everything. Results would later confirm no presence of sedatives, alcohol, or illicit drugs in his system, at least not in the window being tested. Some saw that as proof of stability. Others, especially the online armchair detectives, twisted it into something darker. A man planning something doesn't.
That's that Sullivan stuff that you can drink to take that out of your system. It's about $60 a bottle, but it'll take any type of drug off your system, so you can take a drug test.
Oh yeah, I know about it.
Get high.
Don't ask me
One
how
Reddit
old.
user posted, "He needs to stay clear." RCMP also requested access to the home's Wi-Fi router logs. Daniel provided the network password. Investigators were looking to see what had connected or disconnected from the system, if there had been any late-night device activity unaccounted for. Data showed no outside intrusion, no sudden bursts of outgoing traffic, nothing that suggested a stranger logging in, just the usual pinging from phones, the smart TV, and the tablet. Everything Daniel had mentioned. To the public, RCMP said little. At a press briefing on May 5th, Corporal Maeve Duhamel said only, "Mr. Martel has been cooperative and forthcoming. At this time, he is not a suspect in the disappearance." But the phrasing caught the ear of more than one local reporter. At this time, not cleared, not exonerated, just not yet a suspect. A transcript of Daniel's initial 2-hour sit-down, leaked weeks later, revealed a series of subtle but unsettling details. He told police that Buddy, their Australian shepherd, was skittish and would have barked like hell if a stranger had entered the house. But when asked if he'd heard anything, any barking, any doors, any movement, he said no. It was just quiet, he told Constable Marr. Too quiet. Investigators pressed him about the sliding door. He repeated that it had been shut, firm. "I remember locking it," he insisted. But when asked whether the lock had ever malfunctioned, his tone changed. "It's sticky sometimes," he admitted.
What did I say? What did I say? Them sliding glass doors sometimes is hard for an adult to open. When them things stick, sometimes you got to get something and push on it with it to get it to open. These kids did not open that door and walk out. They can kiss that goodbye.
You don't slide it right, it doesn't catch. He said he couldn't remember if he tested the lock after closing it, only that he felt sure it was secure. The contradiction didn't escape the team. Nor did the fact that his initial 911 call mentioned the door being open after he said the kids were missing, not before.
Now, on the earlier ones, Malaya said she called 911. Now he's claiming he did. The dispatcher was asked, and it was Malaya that called. So him saying that he called 911, that did not work. That didn't happen. Yeah, they can take that old stuff. It's like $65 a little bottle like thing. It'd take any drug in your system out where you can piss. Yes, and calm. Yeah, you said it right. And calm. She was calm, cool, wasn't crying, wasn't hysteric, no nothing. But now he's sitting here on his tail saying that he called. Okay, well, when the phones was bugged, plainly said, tell him to say 850, and then directly she said 950, and then she said 1050. So they can't get their time right when they want to say that they called, but they're too stupid to realize that if you call dispatch, it's on computer when you called and who called. That's how dumb they are. He did not call authorities.
That subtle timing raised questions about whether the door detail was added later
Dummy.
to build a narrative. Emily, meanwhile, remained largely silent, grief-stricken, broken, according to friends. She declined media requests and stayed mostly off social media. She told RCMP she had no reason to doubt Daniel's story. She'd left for work just before 1:50 p.m.
If she didn't doubt his word, why would she have picked up and left? Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, it's all it can be, like a box of rocks. But look here, okay? Man, he's lying like it's rug on the floor. How does people not understand this? Yeah, yes, they did. Now, on the biological dad side, yes, they did. I watched that interview today. Uh, yeah, I know some people ain't wrapped too tight, but he had to come from a rug factory because all he can do is lie. So, he did not call authorities. I'm so fed up with all these daggum lies. If one time somebody would try to offer the truth and let people see through the court system, okay, I did this, I screwed up, I tried to cover for this person, I did this, I did that. It's my fault, I'm sorry. I was just head over heels and I just, acted on my thoughts. 9 times out of 10, they would get a lesser punishment than the ones that actually did anything. So, I mean, but he's not doing that. He will fight it until the day that he dies because he will not turn her in. But what he's not realizing, more he's talking, the more he's telling on her. Yes, and she is too. Worse than he is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a narcissist, big time. Yeah, and who was it? That woman that does the searching and everything. They were there setting up a little table beside the driveway, and uh, he come walking out of the woods the same time sheriff pulled up. Well, the camera on the car plus the sheriff uh, um, chest cam seen that he was dry from head to toe. He wasn't wet nowhere. But boy, did he beat them all to it. Yeah, chest high, running through the water, hollered till he didn't even have a breath left. He did all he could do. How stupid is that, dummy? Yeah, and that was the story they were sticking with to start with. They're both in and out of sleep. You just heard him plain as day. I was up 6 o'clock. I heard him, He never said, I laid back down. He never once said he laid back down. Well, how did that door get open? Did you open the door and let the kids outside? He said he heard them playing. That's how come him to get up. Okay, get up. All right. Kids done dressed or whatever, his claim. And then, but the sliding glass door was still kind of open. No, that dog won't hunt. She done said him and her both were in and out of sleep. And they heard them in another room mess around. And then they ended up outside playing, but they wasn't aware of that. So that tell you right there what a goof nut that is. So, how many times are they going to lie before they say, okay, look, hey, we're washing our hands of this. Y'all come with us till this thing's figured out. No, authorities called the schoolhouse. The sheriff's deputy called, and it's on record. The sheriff's deputy called the schoolhouse, and they ain't been seen a week prior from that. So they've been gone a week before this even started being mentioned. That first and the second, that's bullcrap. They ain't been seen a week prior to that. So that's just a bunch of bullcrap. They're just chasing tail, trying to waste time. Well, I got news for Miss Fix It here. Her taking off of that baby, if that's what happened, and I'll say it that way, if that's what happened, she's got my mind went blank, a kidnap charge, and that's federal. Say to pick it up, and she'll go straight to prison. Now, Daniel may get a lighter sentence than she does, but now if he helped cover any of this up, which I believe he did, he's going to do some time too. But I believe that the brother knew about it. I believe that his cousin knew about it. I believe that his mom, Daniel's mom, them knew some stuff about it. They might not know all of it, but they could be held responsible too for not putting out information. Well, my goodness, Lisa. Those deputies must be related to. I don't doubt it, love. Or what was his name? That one up there in close to Summer. What was it? What was his name? His son got locked up for child porn, and what was that cop's name? I know it well to know my name, but I can't think of it right now. Dodson or something like that. Ronnie Lawson. Yeah, about as stupid as that, or worse now. I thought we seen it all, but we ain't.
On May 1st, she'd kissed the kids, hugged Daniel. Nothing about his demeanor, she said, was up.
That's a damn lie. Says she kissed the kids and Daniel. On the 1st. How's that going to work out?
unusual. And yet, beneath the calm cooperation, something tugged at investigators. Daniel offered no theory, no enemy, no suspicions, nothing. In his own words, I don't know how it happened. They were just gone. He didn't speculate about abduction, didn't accuse, didn't question anyone. When asked who might want to harm them, he shook his head. Nobody. They're just kids. He described Jack as wild and sweet, and Lily as quiet and weird and beautiful. But he didn't cry in the room. Not once. Officers noted it.
The week prior, they were from Monday through Friday, they didn't see them. The week before, Tuesday and Wednesday, they seen them, but not from Monday through Friday. They didn't see them anymore. Now that's what the deputy had a call with the school bus driver, and you could hear the conversation. And then he also, they called the principal of school and said the same thing. Mm-hmm. And the school nurse said that they did look like they were a little bit sickly, but not like just a cough, not like that, like her almost wanting to call CPS type style. And he got pissed off because the nurse there took pictures of him and Lily, and he got pissed off. See, and that's how come that they didn't go back. So everything's everything's coming together now, except for all their lies. But that's just a web that'll be untangled before you know it. Stupidity is. What was that old? What's his name say? Stupid is and stupid does. Well, stupid is and stupider has done it.
Yeah.
Dummy.
And while grief takes many forms, it was becoming harder and harder for the team to square the neatness of his timeline with the rawness of the crime. There were no signs of struggle, no
That
forced
last day,
entry,
yeah.
no screams heard by neighbors. RCMP couldn't find a single camera angle from nearby homes that showed any suspicious vehicle, person, or...
It is. And that right there that you just said, Beck, is coming around in a full circle. Because I don't care what kind of wrong you're doing. Somehow or another, some which way, it always makes that circle back around and kicks you in the butt or bites you in the butt, one way or the other. You can only lie so much, and it's going to catch up. Because you're going to have to tell another lie until nobody believes you automatically. Then time nobody don't believe you anymore, well, you done got the law on your tail end. You end up in a jailhouse somewhere.
And then you're going to think, wow, I could have just told the truth and it wouldn't be this bad.
Well, she's going to have a free ride straight to jailhouse, straight to prison, and 3 hots and a cot. And he's going to have one, too, for a while.
You know what? I went in there and I still forgot that.
Forgot what? No.
I'd lose my
Sorry.
head if it wasn't attached.
Sorry, guys. I had to have me something else in here. I believe my sugar's off.
As I'm over here drinking his Mountain Dew.
Yeah, let's catch up with you. Yeah, 29 on and 17 likes. Y'all, come on. Y'all help JSV out here. Come on.
Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe
And
button.
I know of 12 sitting in the background now. And I was born, it wasn't yesterday, and I was born a sensitive. I'm not no medium and I'm not no psychic. But the least you can do is hit the like button. Now you dropped it down to 27. So I know who that was. But look, when we're not just cutting up and carrying on and being goofy, being ourselves, we take what we do very seriously. Calling out to children, teens, and even adults. And I take what I do very seriously. But now they are days, like I said, that I want to just come on here, and to me, we're family. If I met you in public, it'd just be like family to me. It wouldn't be no different. And
Though you'd realize how crazy I am, actually.
well, that's true. But then it's like if you step in and you join us, JSV, all you got to do is subscribe and hit the like button.
And send a picture in. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, you can even send a picture in, get on the fan wall, and get in the boat and win stuff.
Yeah.
Gonna be a while before we do that again, but slow kill, yeah. You always usually start it. Joni's always the ringleader in this outfit, or Reese.
It's
One
Risa on that
one of them
It's Risa.
always starts a mess.
That's Risa.
Yeah, they've told so many daggum lies, they forget what lie they're done told. But I'm telling you, I'm telling you, if y'all would jump on here and subscribe and turn your notifications on and be part of the chat, you would enjoy yourself. I guarantee you. And whenever I title my videos, my shows, JD's Live, anything goes. And anybody that's been here can tell you that you'll end up hearing one of your loved ones or your own name called. It just happens.
I don't know what she's hugging in this picture, but she's hugging something. She wants you to see it now.
Is that a dolphin?
I have no clue.
Is that or a big ass clam?
She said it's a dolphin.
It's a dolphin. Well, it's just because it was a snub nose. It ain't the pointy. It ain't the pointy nose. They're pretty though.
That's
they're
a good
they're
picture.
pretty.
My
dolphins.
God, that is a pretty picture right there.
That's
The
good.
dolphin, her, and her man.
We're gonna put that on the wham wall.
Yes, that's pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty. But see what I'm talking about the snout.
Yeah.
The snout. I know I'm breaking away from what we're talking about for a
Sorry,
second, but I want to tell you something that I seen with my own two eyes. I try to go to Panama City Beach twice a year at least. About 4 years ago, I was walking out on the pier, and it goes about maybe pretty close to half a mile long. And there was this little, well, I say little girl, she's probably 16, 17-year-old, I guess. Well, somebody dropped a GoPro down off the pier, and they were some hammerhead sharks that they seen. And he reeled it back up, and he showed some people were standing there because the other people was fishing, and that little girl was coming, trying to catch a little wave. Which at Panama you don't really get a big wave, no way. But she was so far away from that, from shore, that it could have been a bad miss. I said, drop it again. I said, let's just see what's going on. Before he could get his camera in the water, there were 4 dolphins surrounding that girl. 4. That shark tried its best to grab her arm or leg. She was late. People hollered shark. and she was doing this with her hands and kicking with feet, laying on her belly and all on the surfboard. Them dolphins kept her safe till she got to shore. And there was a little bit of blood involved, and it wasn't hers. And didn't look like none of the dolphins had no blood on them either. Good Lord can work in mysterious ways. And I honestly believe that a dolphin is one of the humblest things they are in the water all around the world. Now, I've seen that with my own dadgum 2 eyes. Yeah, that's the way I did. Well, it's in like a gated spot. They pull this lever up and let it up and down where they can come in. And you can hold on to their fin and they'll swim you around. You know, it's fun. They are. They're very smart. They are. They're very humble. They are. But anyway, you just sitting in the back. Come on in here. And if you do, then I'll do a few nights of JD's Live. And you can ask anyone that's on here right now. All you got to do is subscribe and jump in this chat. You can ask either one of them. If you're here a minute, you will hear from a loved one or hear your own name. I enjoy it. They enjoy it. They love hearing from their loved ones, knowing that they're okay, and you would enjoy it too. His name was Sean. There you go. The dolphin kissed me. Mine did too. Mine kissed me. I said, you should have took me to a dinner and a movie first, daggum. That old girl standing in there, you know, that lets you do that, she just cracked up like crazy. But everywhere I go, they think I'm crazy anyway. But that's besides the point. I don't tell everything I know.
Or shadow near the house that night. The town didn't have doorbell cams on every home like some urban neighborhoods, but the house wasn't isolated either. And the yard, it was fenced. Not impenetrable, but not easy for a stranger to breach without noise. And yet, 2 children gone, vanished. It was May 6 when RC...
That's right. They will. They'll push the shark away quick, but they gang up. There's that day there was 4. It just really it was heart stopping to start with because I just know that she was going to lose a leg, but then something just come over me and I just felt she'd be all right. And we walked. Well, we was running to start with, and then we slowed down and I seen what was going on, and I walked the rest of the way on off the pier, and her mom or whoever was with her come and got her and pulled her up on the beach and didn't have a scratch on her. That Lord took care of it, That's just faith. Faith is the strongest thing there is on this earth. See, Jody, you're starting it now because it's the other way around. You see what I'm talking about? We're just a bunch of nuts.
Not under arrest. Still cooperative. But this time, they came armed with more pointed questions. Why hadn't Buddy barked? Why didn't he remember hearing the door? Why had his timeline shifted subtly between interviews?
And why did Jack say, "Where's my dog?" I got that on paper too. Plainly, little boy's voice said, "Where's my dog?" That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And I guess it pissed her off enough that now she's pulled this stunt. I don't know. Man, it's doing 380s out here right now. I have no idea. But that's why I'm going to try to ask the kids themselves.
Daniel said he didn't know, that everything was a blur, that maybe Buddy had wandered out with the kids, not after, that maybe the dog had been let out and forgot to bark. He looked tired, hollow-eyed. He said he hadn't slept, said he'd do the whole test again if they wanted. They didn't ask him to. But behind the scenes, something had changed. Investigators began cataloging inconsistencies, phone logs, location pings. The fact that Daniel's phone had been on Do Not Disturb between 11:12 p.m. and 6:30 a.m., despite his earlier claim he was keeping.
And he was up at that time. Why would he have had everything turned off? They plainly said that he was up something to 6, and now everything was turned off.
It nearby just in case Emily texted. Small things, but the kind that matter when timelines are all that's left. And in the absence of...
And if she was at work and she didn't get in till late at night, how would it be? She'd be in and out of sleep and he in and out of sleep, not knowing what children are doing. That don't make no daggone sense. If he knows she had to work all night long, he's the one that should have had his butt up tending them kids. Period. Let her sleep. If she's going to be the one that works in the house, give her time. Let her sleep if she wants to. It'd be your job to tend to them kids, daggum it. Yeah, but now, according to, I forget that name that popped up earlier, said that she got the baby Meadow and left with it. But her mama has full custody of that baby. And I guess Jack and Lily too. I don't know. That's why I said that'd be a kidnap charge. They're all make digging a hole. Every one of them got a shovel in their hand. Yep, that's the best way. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Right. Why? Bless you, though. Bless you.
Charges. In the void of definitive evidence, the whispers grew louder. Not from police, but from people, online, around town, in private messages and open threads and anonymous tips.
All right, now don't get to playing some good music now and then call me to mess up here.
Tips. If Daniel didn't do something wrong, why did it all feel so carefully arranged? He hadn't run, hadn't refused to test, hadn't hidden his phone. But he also hadn't explained how, on a still night in a quiet town, 2 children slipped away from a locked house without a single soul seeing a thing. And now, with his every move under silent surveillance, Daniel Martell remained exactly where he had been from the start, standing in the middle of a widening shadow, alone. They called him Stepdad Daniel. That's how the story first went viral. Not Daniel Martell, not his full name, just Stepdad Daniel, a moniker that carried with it the weight of something unspoken. In the early days, his face wasn't everywhere, but his silhouette was. The tired man in the gray hoodie pacing behind police tape, the quiet figure with sunken eyes stepping in and out of the house while searching.
Wait. There's something else about Daniel, too. I told you that I sat and I studied about Daniel. He does have a past record for a few things. And I'm thinking that one or more of them charges could have been related to something similar to this. all these things that are coming up now, and all the lies are getting swept under the rug because ain't nobody believing that crap. When if Malaya has run off with that baby, and she gonna get tired of being alone, she gonna call somebody. She gonna call mommy or Daniel or somebody, or cousin or whoever she can get. And I mean, where she thinks she gonna run to? Even if that's what she's doing, she's not gonna want to do it alone because she ain't gonna know how to do it. Good night, Kathy. Thanks for being here, love. So I don't know what's running in their mind. Has to be just something ignorant.
Teams combed the woods. He became a blank screen onto which everyone projected their own fears, theories, and eventually rage. The Reddit thread started small. The earliest posts in r/True Crime Canada noted the case with sympathy. Kids vanish from home in Nova Scotia, no signs of struggle. But within hours, that thread turned. People began combing through every RCMP press release, dissecting each word from the May 3rd statement. One post pointed out the phrasing that Daniel had discovered: the children were gone. Another noted that Buddy, the family dog, was found 12 hours later, 6 kilometers west, wandering a logging road, and that this detail was not mentioned by Daniel in his first statement. Too calm, one user wrote.
No, a little boy's voice said, "Where's my dog?"
The guy's telling a bedtime story, not a trauma narrative. That comment alone was upvoted over 9,000 times. By May 7th, TikTok sleuths had entered the fray. They began posting side-by-side videos. Daniel's press appearance next to well-known cases of guilty parents from the past. Look at the eye movements, said one. Look at the shoulder tension. Classic deflection. A viral clip from Haunting Harmony showed a slowed-down clip of Daniel saying, "I just want them home," with a caption that read, "Is this the face of grief or guilt?" It got 2.1 million views in 2 days. But the town of Canning, and Nova Scotia more broadly, was watching too, and not everyone was eager to condemn him. Friends and co-workers described Daniel as solid, quiet, the kind of guy who shows up early and doesn't complain. His boss at the mill told local media he had never seen Daniel raise.
He ain't got no boss at no mill, dummy. About as dumb can get.
His voice. A family friend interviewed on CBC said he loved those kids. You could tell. You could see it. But even those who spoke kindly of him added a quiet caveat. That said, it's hard to understand how this could happen. Online, sympathy grew for Emily, the mother. People debated whether she had turned on him, if she'd left the house permanently, if she was cooperating more than Daniel was. But Emily's silence remained absolute. There was no joint appearance, no shared.
Yeah, she was. But then we was told earlier, I forget the name that popped up here, said that she grabbed the baby up and hauled tail. I don't know if she was trying to go into some other reservation somewhere, or just went and was renting a hotel. I don't know. All I know is what the person said on chat. I don't know. Yeah, and there's a reason that he can't see it, and I believe that part of that is why he got locked up back in the day for. And I think that's why everything was took away. He can't see none of the kids. Exactly, Patricia.
Statement, and her absence from the media only fueled the fire. The RCMP made it clear again and again that Daniel was not a suspect. At a May 10th update, Sergeant Kendra Hoyle said, "We are following every lead, and Mr. Rat Martell has continued to assist with our inquiries." But the public didn't believe it. Not anymore. A screenshot of Daniel's Facebook page, before it was taken down, made the rounds. One photo showed him holding Jack upside down by the ankles, both of them laughing. Another showed Lily asleep on his chest, marker stains on his shirt. These weren't staged photos. They looked like a real family. And yet the comment sections turned poisonous. Classic narcissist move. Create the illusion. Where are they, Daniel? Theories bloomed like mold. Some thought Daniel had harmed them and buried them somewhere in the woods he knew so well. Others believed the kids were trafficked, sold, though that theory had no basis beyond speculation.
That was on the second when they had all that going on there with the mom, her mom, his mom, and all that. They claimed that was on the second. How accurate that is, I don't know, but that's what they're claiming. Flood and rock slides on I-40. Anybody that's around that area that watches this, rock slides and flooded areas on I-40. Y'all be careful.
One disturbing rumor claimed there was an old septic tank on the property never checked by RCMP. Another said the sliding door wasn't open at all and that Daniel made up the details.
Now, wait a minute. No, the door wasn't even open. I tell you what's truth.
To cover something far worse. Daniel never responded publicly. Not once.
Here too.
But behind the scenes, RCMP were beginning to monitor online threats against him. There were calls for vigilante justice. At least one unmarked car was stationed outside the Martell property each night that second week. Someone spray painted the word liar on his fence. Another night, a rock was thrown through his back window. But even as the public roared louder, the police stayed silent. No charges, no arrests, and no updates that pushed the investigation forward. The case was stalling. That's when the internet truly took over. A podcast based in Halifax, The Vanishing Hour, devoted 3 full episodes to the Martell case by mid-May. The hosts interviewed body language experts, a retired profiler, and even a psychic, though they made clear the psychic was for entertainment. Their conclusion? Something didn't fit. But what was it? There was no sign of forced entry, no signs of a struggle. The family dog was found, uninjured, confused. No blood, no screams, no witnesses. Not a single confirmed sighting of the kids after 8:30 p.m. on May 1st.
Click the link to learn
You
more.
know
and
that's a
support
daggum lie,
Let's make a
because her
difference
undies
together.
had plenty of blood in it.
30 p.m. on May 1st. The children didn't walk out, many said. A 6-year-old and a 4-year-old don't simply vanish. And the idea of a stranger breaking in, navigating a quiet home in total darkness without waking the dog or leaving a trace, that began to sound like fiction. Even those who believed in Daniel's innocence were now asking, if he didn't take them, who did and how? A few local defenders emerged online, claiming Daniel had been convicted by Vibe. One woman, claiming to be a distant cousin, wrote on Facebook, "You don't know how people grieve. He's broken, they all are." But that comment too was buried beneath replies that asked, then why hasn't he cried? Why hasn't he begged on live TV? Why did the door stick only after he was asked twice? Daniel, it seemed, was stuck in a purgatory. Not charged, not cleared, not trusted. His every movement was being cataloged and interpreted. A photo of him buying milk at a corner store appeared in a private Facebook group with the caption, "Buying milk for who?" RCMP knew they were losing the public. They tried to focus on facts, on confirmed leads. But they also knew the investigation had hit a kind of wall. And behind that wall stood a man no one fully believed, but no one could yet disprove. A man who said he fell asleep with 2 children safely in their beds and woke up to an open door in silence. A man whose story never changed and never...
The story never changed. From the begin with, it's open 6 inches. Second, then it wouldn't open. I mean, come on. No blood, no this, no that. Man, there's blood all in them drawers. They cannot be that ignorant. Surely to God. If that's the case, I hate to say this. I really do. But if they are, every authority up there needs to be fired and put in new people, because if anybody believes him after lying about 8, 9 times just right here, not counting Malaya or whatever else other name he wants to call her, it ain't nothing but lies. So the same thing again. All they're doing is chasing tails. They're not telling nothing new. They're just chasing tail. Yeah, but he knowed what they was wearing. He's seen them. And then give him a minute. Well, I didn't see them, but I heard them outside playing, but we wasn't aware of it. And then I looked, and the door was kind of open about 6 inches. And then now saying, well, the door wasn't even open. And then when I tried to open the door, it was kind of hung. How in the world they go open that door if he barely can? It's a daggum lie. It's a good thing I ended up in Canada. I'm telling you, this is a shame. And yes, and giving them baths, no, see, no, that dog won't hunt right there. Now, it might be different a little bit with Jack, but he ain't got no business being in the bathroom with Lily, where she's just using the bathroom or taking a bath shower. He ain't got no business being in there. And if Malaya's allowing that, that's neglect right there. And she said that a small female voice said, he comes in my room. And I said, does he shake you and wake you up that way? She said, no, with finger. So what's going on here? People need to stop and start listening to these children. You want the truth? Listen to the child. They're a child for a reason, because they don't know no better. They don't know to lie and say things that's out of the way of it. Not that young. 4-year-old. 6. I bet my blood pressure's 500.
It rang true. There are truths you can feel, and then there are truths you can prove. In the case of Daniel Martel, the RCMP were beginning to feel something deeply wrong, but proving it remained just out of reach. The home, a modest 3-bedroom bungalow surrounded by a chain-link fence and a patch of patchy grass, became less a crime scene than a puzzle. No blood. No signs of forced entry. No shattered glass. No footprints where there should have been prints. Just a house that refused to confess. By May 12th, the forensic team had returned 3 times. The house had been processed once on the day of the disappearance, then again 2 days later. But a third team, specialized in environmental trace evidence, went in under full gear. They didn't just dust for prints, they looked for microfibers, trace soil, displaced objects, doorframe particles. They brought equipment that could detect skin cells invisible to the naked eye. Still, they found nothing that directly contradicted Daniel's account. But that's where the trouble began, because it didn't confirm it either. The sliding glass door was the focal point. Daniel insisted it was locked, not just closed, locked. He'd even said he felt it click. But RCMP took apart the locking mechanism, discovered wear patterns inconsistent with frequent use. The lock, in fact, was slightly warped.
I asked them children, I said, because he's saying it don't work. Malaya said that it didn't work. I asked them children, does that sliding glass door work? And they said, yes, it does. Oh, yeah, it'd be out there so far, it'd block traffic. Yeah, that's right.
Suggesting that on some nights, a person might think it had caught when it hadn't. Daniel later admitted he had struggled with it in the past. Still, he had claimed, unequivocally, that he locked it. That conviction became less and less credible as the analysis continued. More troubling was the screen door. It had no latch, no magnetic catch. It swayed freely in the wind if left ajar. On the morning of May 2nd, RCMP bodycam footage shows it slightly open, angled outward toward the backyard. The theory of a stranger entering silently through that path depended on the notion that the sliding door had been unlocked. The dog didn't react, and neither child made a sound. Even taken individually, those were stretches. Taken together, they strained belief. Then there was the question of movement. RCMP had seized the home's router, as well as 2 smart plugs and a smart thermostat, all connected through the same home automation app. Though there were no security cameras installed inside the home, when lights were turned on or off, when the thermostat adjusted, when a device connected to Wi-Fi, what emerged was subtle but strange. At 1:17 a.m. on May 2nd, the smart plug in the living room, connected to the floor lamp, was turned off manually. Not by a schedule, not by Emily, who was still at the hospital. Daniel had told police he had gone to sleep around 11 p.m. and did not wake until after 6:30. But this timestamp showed that at 1:17 a.m., someone had turned off the lamp. RCMP asked him again in a third sit-down. He insisted he had no memory of getting up. Maybe Buddy bumped the switch, he offered, but the plug was across the room. Not near the dog's usual sleeping area. Not near anything that could trigger it by accident. Then there was a pressure sensor. The home had no alarm system. But under the kids' bunk bed, RCMP found an old, discontinued pressure mat, something Emily had purchased 2 years earlier during Jack's sleepwalking phase. It wasn't connected to anything now. No alert system. But it still had a passive logging function, recording pressure changes to a small internal SD card. The data hadn't been accessed in months. But forensic tech working the scene, on a whim, removed the card. The final pressure log recorded 2 shifts in wait. The first, at 8:35 p.m. on May 1, consistent with the kids going to bed. The second, 1:19 a.m., the same minute as the smart plug. The same window Daniel claimed he was asleep. There was no third entry, no pressure recorded afterward. If someone got off that bed at 1:19 a.m., they never returned. RCMP didn't release this information. Not then. Not to the public, but inside the task force. The tone shifted. Still, it wasn't enough. Circumstantial, suggestive, but not proof. There were no fingerprints on the sliding door but Daniel's. No foreign DNA on the children's pillows, sheets, or toothbrushes. The children's clothes were undisturbed. There were no drag marks, no strange tire tracks, no signs that anyone, Daniel included, had exited the house that night carrying 2 children. But a question lingered, gnawing at the core of the case. Why did nothing make noise? Buddy, the family dog, had returned home on May 2nd around 7:45 p.m., found by a local farmer. Dirty, tired, uninjured. RCMP veterinarians scanned him for trauma. Nothing. But he was a herding breed, protective, loud. According to Emily, he barked at raccoons, falling leaves, the mail truck, but not, it seemed, at the person who left through the sliding door, unless he knew the person. Trusted them. RCMP obtained doorbell footage from a house across the street. While it didn't show the Martell residence directly, its audio picked up ambient street noise. On the file from May 2nd at 1:20 a.m., a faint chime was detected. Not a scream. Not a shout. A chime, possibly the screen door's hinge. Barely audible. Nothing else. Neighbors reported no sounds that night. No headlights. No crunching gravel. Daniel's phone, when analyzed, showed a period of complete inactivity from 11:12 p.m. to 6:32 a.m. But a cache system log revealed that the screen had been turned on briefly twice during that window, at 1:15 a.m. and again at 1:22. Only for a few seconds each time. Not enough to trigger app usage or notifications, but enough to suggest someone looked at it. Checked it. Woke it up. Daniel never mentioned this. Never accounted for it. He said he slept through. So, RCMP ran a test. One night, with Daniel's consent, they returned to the home and replicated the conditions. Same time. Same lighting. A similar dog. A mannequin waited like a child placed on the bed. They opened the sliding door just 3 inches. Walked the man. Barked. Loud. Time. But Daniel's story never included barking, never included waking up, never included pressure changes or phones lighting up in the dark. The forensic report, compiled internally by RCMP's Behavioral Sciences Group, didn't name him, but its conclusion was grim. The probability of an external actor entering this home, extracting 2 children and leaving undetected, with no noise, no footprints, and no trace, is statistically negligible. And still, they had no proof, no bodies, no confession, no witness. Just a series of clues, soft, ghostly, each leading back to the same quiet hallway, the same cracked door, the same man alone in his bed while 2 small children disappeared in the dark. The RCMP, under increasing pressure, issued no further updates. But inside the file, Daniel Martel's name sat atop every page. Not a suspect, not yet, but as the axis around which the silence turned. The RCMP has not named Daniel Martel a suspect, not once, not even now. But as of June 13, 2025, 6 weeks after Lilly and Jack Sullivan vanished into what seemed like thin air, the official tone has shifted. And with it, so has the shadow that has followed him, from the moment that screen door was found hanging open in the morning light. Investigators continue to call Daniel cooperative. He has not fled. He has not gone silent. He has responded to follow-ups, re-interviews, and one additional forensic request involving the family's SUV, a silver 2016 Ford Edge, that RCMP impounded for a second time on May 29th. This time, they removed the back seat entirely, traced the upholstery, pulled carpet fibers from the floorboards, collected dozens of hair samples, both human and canine. The results have not been made public. But according to a source familiar with the investigation, one fiber in the rear cargo space raised enough questions to be sent to a specialized lab in Ontario. Still, no warrant has been issued, no arrest has been made, and Daniel remains in Nova Scotia, living now with his mother just outside Kentville after Emily officially filed for separation and left the province. Her departure was quiet, unannounced. A private moving truck arrived June 4th, unmarked. Neighbors said nothing. They didn't need to. Everyone understood. Emily gave one statement to police before she left. Not emotional, according to the source, just firm. I don't know what happened. I just know it didn't happen while I was in that house. She took none of Daniel's things. RCMP has not confirmed if Daniel is still in regular communication with investigators, but a press briefing on June 10th offered something rare, a moment of near transparency. Inspector Joel Reinhardt, speaking from behind a podium flanked by maps and timelines, said this: "We believe the circumstances surrounding Lilly and Jack's disappearance originate within the home." He didn't say more. He didn't need to. The public heard what they were waiting for. And Daniel, for all his cooperation, for all the interviews and silence and dogged presence, now found himself on the edge of something irreversible. Local media followed up quickly. Articles speculated that the investigation had quietly crossed into criminal territory. One paper ran an editorial headlined, "What's Left When the Children Are Gone, and the Truth Still Isn't Clear." In it, the writer described Daniel as a man boxed in by his own story, a phrase that stuck. Another outlet quoted a criminologist from Dalhousie University, who said, "The presence of cooperation doesn't negate suspicion. It can be part of..."
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that both are involved. I believe that Malaya lost her temper. Everything went south. He's covering for her, and he's going to continue to cover for her, and he will not stop. All these things that they're saying is stuff that we've already heard. It's just chase and tail, just chase and tail. It would be different if they did like a live interview with her, but apparently now, like I said, she's run off with a baby, so that's going to be a charge. So if she gets interviewed, she's going to be in the jailhouse. Yeah. Guys, I'm just about too tired to do anything else. She's got to go to work at 11 o'clock tomorrow, so I guess I can come on about dinner, and we can get right straight into calling out to Jack and Lily. Well, it may be a little longer than that. If a miracle happens, I got to run to town to try to keep my truck and make sure Christina can keep her job. So maybe a little later than 12. But I love y'all, and I will see you then.
Sleep well.